All right, folks, welcome back for another review of the limited series, The Baby, episode 6, The Rage. Zero and myself, Zero and I, because that's proper English, are going to be here recapping this episode for you. And hopefully you checked out our previous reviews and all that whatnot, but we're back in the present day now of things since we got kind of the backstory of Mrs. Eaves and Helen, but now we're currently back with Natasha, Bobbi, and Barbara and her shack of folks, the Barbara Manson squad. But that's no here nor there. But as we like to always start off every episode, what's your thoughts about this one?
I like with these last two episodes, we've been wrong in our theories. I feel like we watch enough horror to kind of figure out the paths at this point, but we've been missing consistently with the series, which I do think is a good thing.
Yeah.
But
you've been right about Bobbi, though. I'll give you that.
Yeah, there's something there.
One.
That's just the sister trauma in myself. I can relate. But yeah, these two, the previous episode and this episode have just been absolute bangers. Absolute, very intense.
I agree. Much to our suspicion of Jupiter House, like I said, Barbara Shack and whatnot. I do like. I appreciate the writing in this series. So I enjoyed this episode. The last episode 5, is still my favorite. But I definitely appreciate for this to be an 8-episode series, I like sort of say the crescendo storytelling. Episode 5 being the peak, and now we're seeing things kind of coasting down to the finale. And this, I think, was actually a very good cohesive episode attached to episode 5 for where we wanted things to go next. But Natasha, Bobbi, and Mrs. Eaves, they're trying to get up out of there, as we said they should have. But as I also said, Barbara was not going to allow that to just be a thing.
Right.
And now we see her with the baby saying, we'll keep this one, and we'll figure this out and whatnot. But yeah, Barbara's holding the baby, and Noor and them are just ready to go. And there is a lot of kind of blaming going on around right now.
A significant amount.
Yeah, I don't know where I want to go first with this. Okay, let's address the biggest thing right now. I feel, besides really much of the psychology of this episode, the biggest fact that came out of this episode is that Jack is still alive.
Yeah,
did not see that coming.
He was dead, man. You could not have changed my mind.
Not at all.
His head hit the corner of the windowsill.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no coming back for that. But alas.
So but I also think on the other end of that too, I think we also can confirm that Helen is dead.
Yes.
Because I was a little bit thinking maybe Helen's still alive doing something, but we can confirm Helen's dead. But also beyond us confirming that, do you think Mrs. Eaves can now confirm that? Because when she had the visions of all of the folks who were dead, she had not had Helen in those visions before, but she got Helen, who clearly had drowned, as we can see,
right,
by that. And she looks at her and says, Jack is alive. And then her visions and everything are gone. So we have to kind of see where her mindset goes for baby, because that was her biggest objective. Is she has the baby, she's been following the baby, she's thinking the baby will get back to her mother. We now know that the baby's clear objective is her mother. Forget all these other folks that came casualty of it. He wants the mother, his mother. He wants Helen. That's it, flat out. And if you're coming away, then oh well. But he wants his mother. So a lot of little bit of things that we kind of speculate on, I feel like I ironed out there. So, but let's do this. Let's jump to Bobbi, because that's been a character we've been very high on, and I think we got a lot with her. My heart breaks for this character.
I stand by my statement that I said a couple episodes ago. Bobbi is definitely my favorite character, but also one of the most important characters, Because before we saw that she was the only one that was able to put the baby to sleep. Now we see the baby has this kind of like, mind control, children of the corn thing going on. And of course, the only person who can ease them is Bobbi with her magic.
Yeah.
So she is important. And is never like applauded because of that. I guess just because the stakes are like so high. The baby can't sleep and Tasha's not sleeping, and now she's sleep deprived and going crazy because the baby can't sleep. Oh, thank God Bobbi can put the baby to sleep. There really is no thank you. And now the stakes are a lot worse. So folks, I'm sure you just saw in the episode, this baby is going absolutely berserk after the bonfire, is taking control of all of the children, which is super freaking creepy, by the way. Like when they're all moving at the same time,
So
and they all
good.
keep stabbing each other or stabbing themselves at the same time. And then, when they look up in unison and they're talking as one, it's terrifying. As somebody who doesn't really rock with kids like that anyway, oh my God, it's terrifying. Absolutely freaking terrifying. But again, Bobbi's saving the day, and there is no thank you. It's just, oh my God, thank goodness these kids stop stabbing themselves. There's no, closure moment or anything. It's just straight to the, this is your problem, this is your problem, this is your problem.
Yeah.
From Tasha's point. And then also the bombs being dropped by their mother, Barbara. And it seems like for this whole series now, Bobbi has been getting the short end of the stick. So, at the end of the episode, Bobbi says, just don't call me. She doesn't even look at her mom. But I know there has to be more for Bobbi's story specifically. Just because she obviously has great power over this baby, or maybe just babies in general, just kids in general.
Thank you. Yeah.
But it's not ending here. This isn't the end of Bobbi's story for sure.
Let's go as far as labeling Bobbi as a mystic. The magic, and just whether it's implied magic or whether it's just the sense of magic that she has over situations. So we're definitely gonna call her a mystic because she is. I almost want to go as far as saying she was brought on this earth, and in a bit of sense of like a very magical purpose, which is sad because it's beautiful but yet sad because of just the circumstances of everything.
Right.
You said like, well, I was not able to pour love into Natasha, so I had Bobbi so that she can pour love into you.
Right.
And my heart just completely broke, and I'm just
sunk to my feet. I do think the theme of this episode, and also just the theme of Bobbi's character in general, is purpose.
Yeah.
Because she is like searching she wants this baby, right? She wants to have a baby of her own because she feels like it will give her purpose. The reason why she was even born was so there could be some sort of purpose, some pot to pour your love into, because unfortunately mom was just not going to be able to provide that for her family. There's purpose again for the kids, for finally putting the baby to sleep. She has something there that can address the situation. And then there is that long sisterly talk when they're in the woods, and Tosh tells her sister Bobbi that she's jealous because she's really good at magic and like she has a purpose. But really I think this whole theme of purpose is like revolving around Bobbi, and still she's getting the short end of the stick, even though it's really what I think is purpose is what everyone needs in this show in some shape, way, or form. And it's always revolving around Bobbi. I hate how this episode ended, but I know it's just going to make for a better conclusion later.
Hopefully.
I hope. Fingers crossed, man.
Yeah. And like, let's also address, the other big part of that is like her phone call from the social worker. Now, this series always tries to find ways to throw like metaphorical humor in it. And I thought it was so funny that, and I know a lot of adults, especially parents, can attest to this. When you get those important phone calls and the kids are going crazy in the background,
oh yeah,
and she's like, "Is this not a good time to talk to you?" I was dying there, but this is the call she's been waiting for, and it's sad because, maybe it's not a direct correlation, but it's something that I think a lot of people deal with on a daily basis. Of like, I hate to say qualified, yet overqualified, and that's considered a negative thing.
Yeah.
Like relationships and jobs and all sorts of different things. Like, oh no, you're really good. Like, we really wanted to pick you, but we just felt like maybe like it would have been a little bit like beneath you if you would have took this job. All sorts of different things. Or like, you're so good, it's not you, it's me type of thing. And for her to kind of receive that news of saying like, so you're basically telling me that because I want a baby too much and I'm perfect, that I can't have a baby now and I gotta wait 6 months. I'm thinking to myself like, what the wait, I'm confused here.
Backwards.
Yeah. For real, shame on you social workers. I love you all, but damn, I hope this ain't what y'all really are doing. And I do get the precaution of saying like, oh, you just seem so urgent on it. Maybe you need a little bit of time to kind of pause and process all of this. Ma'am, that's what the process is. This entire process is screening folks to make them understand if they want this. So like, I'm not going to get screened, evaluated, interviewed 3, 4, 5 times, me and my partner, and then all of a sudden you're like, all right, so basically we're gonna wait an extra 6 months because we need to screen you longer. Like, come on now, like get the hell out of here. So I just feel bad for her. She gets the rejection there. She sees her sister with a baby that she assumes is her sister's baby that really isn't her sister's baby, and she realizes that. She realizes that like she's actually pretty damn good at being a mother because she was able to de-escalate the entire situation and her sister couldn't. And then you get this whole sort of bonding, a theme that you've been talking about in this entire series of folks like reconstructing relationships and whatnot. And we see them doing this sister sort of Siamese twins shirt thing to kind of get them to bond.
That was so funny, by the way.
Right,
Mom just pulled out the shirt and they were both like, nah, we're not doing this.
Yeah, share some feelings with one another, and that kind of went over in a particular way or whatnot. But then we started to get a little bit more about their backstory as Natasha was having flashbacks of a child being with her dad, Lau. And, this is the first time we see him, the first time we see young Natasha and what that meant to her. And we can see to one vantage point of this that there's something dire kind of happening, urgent kind of happening, just some distress going on. Then we see Lau, this black man, just completely in tears, which I loved because we don't paint black men to be emotional. It's if that's like not a thing, like we can't have our hearts and feelings broke. And if that's the case, like that's supposed to be looked down upon. But I loved how they were able to show him in that sense, but also understand that he was a good man. I love it. You got stripped all the stigmas out of there. He wasn't the one that left. He wasn't abusive. He wasn't they didn't touch none of that. He was a good man, overqualified. Give him his praise and let him be emotional because it's okay. Just to find out that Barbara had left, and Barbara, who was having trouble sleeping and doing in terms of being a mother. Again, this could be a couple of different things, but for one, this could absolutely once again be another woman who is struggling with her mental health in terms of postpartum, or it could just be a mother who just said, I didn't want to be a kid and just was like, I'm out of here. So either way, whatever it could be, we just know that affected Natasha into the woman she's become. Let's also go back to the first episode. She is team fuck those kids. I'm trying to party and be out on these streets. You know what I mean? She's not worried. She don't want responsibility. Can you imagine what she endured? She's seen her mom leave because her mom said this was too much for her. Again, generational trauma, because we see how that affected Natasha in that way. And then you have Bobbi, who's looking for purpose, as you said. Why? Because she was born into purpose. She was born to basically be Natasha's sister, but yet bucket of emotions because Natasha tried to pour it into her mom and it wasn't reciprocated. So to kind of mitigate that, she says, another kid, that should fix it. By the way, as a person with no kids, I can 100% confirm that having kids for the purpose of solving problems is not the answer. It's just not. Let me know if there's something out there that I'm missing, but it's just not. You do not have kids in an agreement of saying this will fix things, you know, because it won't fix your relationship. It won't fix your mental health. It won't make you all of a sudden inherit the will to want to be a parent. You know, these are things that you got to do beforehand. No. And I hear people say like, oh, well, you know, once I had a kid, you know, I really looked at myself to step up to be a parent. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
There's a difference there.
Thank you. That's what I'm getting at.
The kid is not a Band-Aid. Really, all you're doing is just adding another layer in which to push your generational trauma onto. If there was no generation there, then they would not be having the burden of dealing with this trauma. But here we are now.
Yeah.
I do think it's also interesting that so Tasha's situation with her mom, with her parents, is very similar to what the baby went through, right?
Indeed.
His mom was not happy in the relationship. One is clearly much more extreme than the other. Tasha's father was never kidnapped and tied down and forced to have a family or anything, but kind of a little bit of abandonment issues here with the baby and also with Tasha. And I'm wondering, I might be thinking like too much ahead here, but I'm thinking if maybe that's could be a reason why Tasha has not been hurt by this baby yet. Clearly, like the baby is just cycling through moms to find his actual mom. But maybe there's some kind of like common ground between Tosh and the baby, because clearly like Tasha's not giving ideal love to this baby, but she hasn't been hurt yet, which makes me think something. And that was the first thing that I thought of when we started getting these flashbacks. First, I'm like, what's going on? Now I get the whole monologue with Barbara, their mother, and there's similarities between the two. Obviously, one is just straight up abuse, and then the other is just, you know, shit happens with families sometimes. I mean, sometimes they don't have the longevity that you plan on when you start having a relationship. But still, either way, having children by force or having children to fix something is no way to have kids. And now look at both parties. This baby is clearly suffering and making other people suffer in trying to find closure, trying to find where your purpose is coming from, I guess. And then also Tosh over here is like, I mean, clearly this is insane. So not even having to do with the baby, but she doesn't have a good relationship with her mom. And now she has all this, you know, fuck them kids. I don't want to have any responsibilities. That probably has something to do with her traumatic upbringing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Well said. I think the other part we need to kind of just, you know, give a nod to is, what was looking like going to be a mass slaying of victims by the baby.
My God. I said to myself, I was like, if all these children die right now, I don't know if I can keep reviewing this show. I thought it was going to happen. I thought they were going to go completely brutal. Those kids were like with pens, like, the neck and everything. I was taken aback.
I love it.
Shorty with the rock.
That's what I was getting Barbara. At, Sally. So first thing to your first point, I love the choreography of everybody being in sync. That was good. Completely eerie, creepy. They nailed that set on point, and those were kids. So the fact that you got them to just be like that, hella job in constructing that scene. I really enjoyed that, and it served its purpose because I was definitely having spine chills. Like it was legit. But the baby taking over Sally, who then had this moment of standing over Barbara with the rock, getting ready to execute her. Then her back kind of snaps, and then she falls in the water. Then Barbara goes after her to. Did she try to save her, but then she got pulled in? I don't know if the baby's out here trying to test folks or whatnot, because that's what it seemed to be. It didn't seem like it was like a complete malice or brutality. It seems to be sort of like pseudo evaluating of things and testing Barbara to like go fix your kids, because I was about to
maybe. Or I mean, honestly, I was thinking on the more shallow side, like this baby is throwing, this supernatural ass baby right now is throwing a temper tantrum. Like this is what a supernatural temper tantrum looks like. Which
fair
is
enough.
Insane to think about.
Fair enough. Absolutely was though, but it was definitely a really cool scene seeing the elders eating rocks and.
Oh my God, yeah.
So the other thing is we have to also mention that the kids drew drawings of Helen in the water, the cabin, and eventually what led to her demise. And Mrs. Eaves was able to pick up on that. She said, "Oh, that's Helen." The baby obviously saw the drowning happen. That's why he was able to put the thought in their head, control them, and make them draw that. So I think it's pretty evident that, like I said, Mrs. Eaves knows what happened to her love and Helen, and it's just, that's been her purpose, is trying to figure that out. But now she's also had a vision / a little like, little bit of communicating with her and saying that, listen, Jack is still alive. So does she go after Jack? And what is that encounter going to be? Hey, Jack, you pushed her to her limits here, or hey, I'm sorry, I hexed you and the baby, and all these people have died because of that. So whoops.
Well, it's definitely not going to be no damn sorry. That much I know. It will not be a hey, Jack, I'm sorry. Yeah. No way. I think maybe like they're gonna try to just like plant this baby on him.
Oh, for sure.
But I'm also thinking like,
I know what's happening here.
Why did Jack stop looking for the baby?
That's a good question. That's also part of the abandonment too. But also too, I mean, to his argument, well, what age are you looking for this baby to be?
Right, like here's your baby who hasn't aged for 30 years. Congratulations.
Yeah, and I mean, Jack looked like he was older than Helen.
Right, Jack is a geriatric now.
yeah. But listen, here's the thing. So Jack is about to inherit an infant at an elder age, which that's his property. But listen, the biggest thing I see is the lesson learned here is all this like, oh, you all want babies, but y'all don't understand the responsibility. And wait till he gets that baby sitting on his lap and he has to take care of the baby by himself. The thing that he wanted his property and whatnot. And I think there's going to be an aha moment coming up, and we're going to see kind of how that plays out. But yeah, those are the questions for this episode. Where the hell has Jack been? What has his pursuit of this baby been? Why did he stop? What has his search been for Helen? You know what I mean? Has Helen?
Has there been a search for Helen?
Has there been a search for Helen?
Or has it just been the baby? Because the baby's already been born.
That's a huge question. And what's next for Mrs. Eve, Natasha, Bobbi, Barbara, and the baby? Because Natasha had a moment with the baby and says, listen, I'm sorry about your mom, and they were at peace. That was like a stalemate of they found peace in one another from that statement, because, well, like you said, they both went through abandonment. And I don't know if the baby knew that initially, but I think they have got to that common ground now, and that definitely means something. And now that Natasha's off with Mrs. Eaves, we'll see where they go. And then for Bobbi, man, she's shattered right now. She took L's everywhere.
Ever.
Took L's in every direction. Direction she took L's. So I guess we got to look forward to kind of see what happens with that.
Yeah, so I have faith that Bobbi's gonna get her baby or like something, or at least come on, at least a dog.
Yeah, give her
she
something.
Deserves something. I am curious though, because it's kind of hard to tell how intelligent this baby is. This baby should be in its 30s, but it's not. And now, just through this previous conversation, I'm thinking is the reason that the baby hasn't aged just a mirror of its emotional intelligence, just because it has had nothing for, I mean, I'm just guessing 30 years, but it could be more, it could be less, I don't know. And so could this baby understand that his mom is no longer with us? Or is this still like a blind? Because you're right. Like when Natasha goes up to the baby before they dip, she's like, I'm sorry about your mom. The baby's not crying anymore. The baby's not hurting anybody anymore. So does that mean that the baby understands?
Yeah.
But I can't say yet. I can't say yet. Maybe that's why the baby's like not been growing. It just has no emotional intelligence, doesn't know what's going on. So I'm just gonna mow through everybody and anybody until I figure it out.
Yeah. I also challenge too, what is the realism in the baby not growing? There's obviously a supernatural element to it, but what is the realism, the symbolic factor to why the baby's not growing? Because everything else has had that type of duality in terms of like, well, on the supernatural side, this is what this means, but in the practical side, this is what that means. And we know the baby not growing is a supernatural thing, and that's just what it is, because it's some type of demonic presence or whatever it may be. But what is the practical side of that?
I really thought there was going to be some sort of like clues or like connection with this like culty thing going on, which now after this last episode, I don't think this weird culty commune thing has anything to do with it. There very well could be some explanation later in the ending of the show that tells us why this baby's not aging. But right now, the only assumption I have is like emotional maturity.
Yeah.
This baby has no emotional maturity because it doesn't have parents, and it's just killing everybody, throwing tantrums, supernatural tantrums. So maybe that's why, ? But hey, we're just going to have to finish this and figure it out.
Yeah. Well, we have 2 more episodes to go, folks. We'll be very interested in hearing your thoughts about tonight's episode 6 here, The Rage. We can't wait to get to episode 7 and 8, but stay tuned. Jump in the comments. Let us know your thoughts about the series this far. Let us know your theories about why the baby isn't aging. Make sure you stay tuned for more information, news, updates, and reviews coming from Big O Belt Media. And make sure you keep an eye out for Zero and the podcast weekly at Bloody Massacre. Follow her at I Don't Know Gravity, as you can see under her name tab below. Keeping up with the latest and best and newest, hottest horror podcast. So there you go, folks. We'll see you next week. And until then, y'all be safe and stay away from that baby if y'all see it.
Take your birth control.
Bye. Big O Belt.